What the hell were they thinking? Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Today marks a day where our lovely government veto-overrides the freaking JAFTA bill. What's a JAFTA bill? Well, it happens to be the first bill in 8 years that both the Senate and the House both agreed to veto-override. And it passes at 97-1, with the exception of being House Minority Leader Harry Reid of the Democrats, passing this in the House of Representatives 348-77. Vice presidential candidate Tim Kaine did not vote, and this bill was recommended by Republican John Cornyn of Texas, I believe of the Senate, and the large Democrat sponsor was Chuck Schumer of New York, and according to JAFTA, individual citizens can now sue freaking nations for death, damage, injuries, or acts of terrorism. So, for 9/11, victims who've lost loved ones now can sue Saudi Arabia. My God. First of all, Saudi Arabia wasn't involved in the 9/11 attacks. Second of all, what country would you sue? If we want to look at who strictly was responsible and you want to blame bin Laden, then let's look at Al-Qaeda, let's look at Taliban, or even ISIS. They're not nations. Giving individual citizens the right to sue nations is one of the stupidest things that you can do. I mean, we're not exactly the brain trust of the world if you look at higher education, if you want to look at the jobs that people coming out of college are getting, the amount of people who are even going to college. And we're giving these people the right to sue entire nations and jeopardize our international diplomatic relations. I mean, hello? Yes, 9/11 was a tragedy. Yes, there may have been things that could have been done that would have lessened that tragedy. But that's not important right now. What's important right now is moving on and trying to come up with preventative measures from that happening again. What we don't need to do is put more fuel into the fire. We need to think. And I'm sorry, Chuck Schumer. I'm sure that you're representing your people. Your constituents, if you will. But that doesn't mean that we have to give people the right to do whatever the hell they want at the risk of our national security. Does no one believe in our president anymore? I mean, he did pull us back from Middle Eastern affairs that Bush put us into. We haven't had a terrorist attack on the scale of 9/11 or even close in the last 8 years. We haven't gotten involved in a war with Russia and Iran. There has not been a nuclear war. We have not gotten the end times people thought were going to happen in 2012. I mean, yes, there are still problems in the world. Yes, there are problems in the country. Yes, we can improve. But our president has done a fine job. He's gotten healthcare out to hundreds, if not thousands of people. Maybe it's not perfect. Maybe it can be fixed. But bottom line, he's done a fine job. And what has our government done to repay him? They blocked everything. They're not even filling up the Supreme Court to let them do their job. And what are we getting instead? A bill that will take away from federal power. I mean, I can understand why in some cases you want to take away from federal power, but there are some things that we want a federal government to do. Like diplomacy. There's a reason that we have diplomats. Because not everyone is meant to be a diplomat. And now all the courts, and it's going to be federal courts, are going to have to listen to these nutcases suing countries. While, admittedly, some of them might be more credible than others, if I feel that Pakistan has wronged us, I could just go out and sue them according to this legislation. I mean, I, for one, don't feel that we should make it easier for racists and bigots to tear apart this country and to isolate and alienate people in our country and around the world. I think this is a wake-up call that perhaps we needed more than anything else. This is a wake-up call to show us what we're going to let happen if we don't pay attention to the news, if we don't care about our government, if we just say, well, this sucks, and not do it, and not do anything about it. We have the freedom to express ourselves and directly impact the way our government works. And if we don't exercise that power, no one will. We need to make that change happen. I can't do it alone. But I, for one, am not going to stand for a bill which is going to take away international diplomacy and possibly put us into an all-out war with a country we can't hope to defeat. I mean, Saudi Arabia is one thing, but think of what we're doing to the entire region. If we start suing random nations like Saudi Arabia for 9/11, Iraq and Afghanistan, the soldiers who died in that war, why don't we just sue everyone we fought a war with? Vietnam, Germany, who cares if it's 70 years later? Why don't we sue Russia because they scared us back in the Cold War? When is this fear and paranoia going to end? I think it's time to get real. And that's going to start this November when we decide what we want the future of our country to be. If we want to take the power away from the president, put it in the hands of the people, screw education, and hope we survive. Well, historically that hasn't gone so well. But things can change. Don't just give up on them like it's already done. Bills can be repealed. Laws can be repealed. Hopefully this gets reviewed by the Supreme Court because it's full of crap. People in the government can change. Why is this what got 97 people of the 100 sitting in the Senate to say, yes, this is a good idea? Or are these the same people who decided to write the letter to Iran last year saying that the Congress has the real power and that we shouldn't listen to the president when he tries to deal with foreign policy and maybe prevent a nuclear war in the Middle East? Or have you forgotten one of the worst kept U.S. federal secrets that we gave nukes to Israel? And if Israel has nukes and Iran has nukes, and there's some nutcase in one of those countries, doesn't matter which one, who hits the button, boom, war. And we need to actually do something about that and not just sabotage. And no, that doesn't classify as the need for a military invasion and occupation. Tried that in the Middle East, failed miserably multiple times. So, let's not just stick with repealing this piece of crap. Let's wake up, America, and start thinking about what future we want to give to our children. And what we want to leave behind. We want to leave behind a world where we don't have to tell our children that they have to be afraid of the police. Or be afraid that countries are going to declare war because some idiot is suing them. Or persecute people based on their appearance, which is something that we should have gone over 50 years ago. America, let's make this our wake-up call.